kind to give me a complimentary facial. And you know, because we're in double credit month, I just want you to really think about this. That beauty consultant tried to book me for several months, and finally she came and gave me the makeover. And I was a non-skincare, non-makeup person. I was a runner. I used to run a lot of miles because I was sick. It's not because I was really good at it. I just was never wanting to gain weight. I was sick with anorexia, which is really dislike of self. It's not at all a dislike of food. And my directors can attest to that. I like to feed people and I like to cook for people. I like to bake. I like all of that kind of stuff. But if she had not left this piece of literature at my house, I would not be here today. Because to be honest with you, she did not do it for me. She was not my type of person. That's all I can say because somebody might be recording me. But she left this, and I laminated it because this was a Reader's Digest reprint that she gave me. This is 38 years old because it took me 8 months to recruit. This thing is old. And it says on the front cover, Mary Kay's Sweet Smell to Success. And I read the story, and it was a story about the success and women who rose from, challenges in life, and it was just amazing, and it spoke to me. And I remember throwing it away, and then it came back by my bedstand, and I threw it away again in the kitchen, and it came back. And, I read it, and, sometimes just the printed word will make an imprint on your heart. And this did. This is what God used. It was the seed that was planted. When you go to facials and parties, here's a training nugget. Do you take literature with you? Something simple that you could leave with someone with your name on it. Because if you don't, you are missing an opportunity to recruit people. You really and truly are. Because this, I kept reading it. I really want you to know it made a difference for me. So that's just the #1 training piece, is leave a piece of recruiting literature at every facial. And it could just be the starter kit flyer, with making sure your information is on there. Well, as you know, I did go to Mary Kay meetings, and I want you to know that the very first thing that I went as a guest to a meeting, Debbie Moore had driven into Toledo, Ohio from Hudson, Ohio, 2.5 hours away, and I was invited by this person who facialed me, my recruiter, to be a guest. And we pulled up, and I saw this little blonde bombshell get out with this bob and this barrette in her hair and this terracotta suit, and she was carrying this briefcase. And she was swinging it like she was an executive, and her initials were on it. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've never seen anybody carry a briefcase, a woman. Remember, this is like in the 80s. Women were still at home watching Sesame Street and Big Bird and everything else. And she had this thing, and she pulled up to the hotel, and she parked in the portico where it says no parking. Motor pink Cadillac, like she did the other day when we were at the dollar store. She pulled right up there. I've got my 86-year-old mother walking the parking lot, and she pulls up in front and thinks, this is where I park. And it wasn't a parking space, it was a drive-through. She's parked in there and said, I'm only going to be there in a minute. She's still doing the same wrong things today. But I think it's amazing. She's got so much confidence, nobody's going to tow her XLR away, right? So, she takes this briefcase. Now, I'm just a guest, but this briefcase impressed me because I was not a businesswoman. I did not go to college. I left my house when I was 17. So she sticks the briefcase on the table. She goes like that. And she pops it open, and all these ribbons are dancing because she's now going to give ribbons out to people, at the success meeting. Now, I'm watching all of this as just a visitor. I'm not signing up for Mary Kay. But all these things impressed me a lot. Here's a ribbon for me that Debbie hand wrote for me for a $1,151 week. I still have my ribbons. Yeah, a $500 show. Those things, because I wanted a part of what I saw. And when I heard her say that she was a teacher and she left the highest paid teaching district in Cleveland to do Mary Kay, I said, well, first of all, if she's a teacher, she's got a college education. And she walked away from that to do this, but she's driving a pink Cadillac. She has an attitude and a briefcase. There's something there. So, I remember after I signed up, I said, how do I get one of these briefcases? Well, I just happen to have a promotion. If you recruit 5 people in a month, you get to have, it says, a leather briefcase, like your director's. And I'm going, I gotta get a gold medal. What is a gold medal? I just had to sign 5 people up. It's amazing what will happen if you go after the promotions that your director gives to you because they're for your benefit. It's really not if you like the prize or not. But for me back then, it was about the prize. But I happen to think she was very cool. I still think she's very cool. So that's how this happened. I just want you to know, this briefcase is in great shape because I really never wanted to have anything happen to it because I was a businesswoman. But I didn't want my briefcase to be icky. So, took me a while to sign up. I was a professional guest. But when I did sign up, I got a welcome letter. And I was also listed in Debbie's newsletter. I've had a name change. She's got me as Kathy Helou. Because Debbie doesn't know how to spell, but that's okay. She knows how to spell it now. But I'm in here. This is my very first newsletter. Yeah, it is. I don't know what it is, but she was an art teacher, so she didn't need to spell, right? She's good with glue sticks and papers, and she still is today. She still likes to do stuff like that today. If you ever go to her house, she makes the meanest, let's see, cheese plate. She decorates it with fruit and flowers, and it's just beautiful. You know, she's that person. It's just part of her gift. Another accolade for Debbie, yep. So I'm in Debbie's newsletter, but I have to tell you something. I was in Debbie's newsletter for 8 months before I ever got this. This is November of 1981 when I signed. She was very smart because in this newsletter, she put down that I would soon be in my red jacket, and she commended me on being a Ruby Star consultant. What she didn't know is that I was turned down by 4 banks because I was on a medical leave taking antidepressants with no driver's license. Who's gonna give somebody like that? That I was like the perfect walking zombie at every bank that I went to, and finally I had to say, I've gotta have the money. So here's my loan for $2,000. Got my loan, got my $2,000 in, and Debbie said, congrats, you're a Ruby Star. And then she says, but you need to be a golden girl. I go, what's a golden girl? Oh my gosh, do they wear gold clothes? What's a golden girl? Well, a golden girl is being a star consultant 2 quarters in a row. But what made me place a Ruby Star order is I saw this briefcase. That was a star, that was my very first star prize. So this puppy's 37 years old. This was the Mary Kay printed fabric. Here, you put it down there, Robin, somebody. I wanted that briefcase so bad, and you know, it never ended up being a briefcase. You know what it ended up being? It ended up being a collection briefcase for every piece of mail that I got from Debbie in my early days and from Mary Kay. I have every letter. In fact, I just showed Sue a typed letter from Rena Tarbett, 2 pages. And it was very touching. Sue said, that's a keeper. And all of those things that meant something, because words have always been my love language. I love to give gifts, but I love to get the gift of words from my friends. And I got this was the very first thing I ever got from Debbie. And it says, congratulations, a $486.87 love check. She hand wrote it too, super. This is your ticket to DIQ. Nice to go free, isn't it? I am so very proud of you. Love, Debbie. Now, the stationery was a little questionable. It looked like it came from a hotel. I'm not sure. But it was the written word. It didn't matter. So she believed that I could be a DIQ. She believed. I know. Isn't that something, Debbie? What the heck is that? It's a stamp. I don't know what it is. You guys can look at it. However, the whole point is that I believed everything she said, that she saw the potential inside of me. And instead of squandering it with fear, I decided to go forward. Because not once, but twice, I called Debbie to send my products back because I didn't think I could do this business. I had such a low self-esteem. Thank God she never gave up on me. So I want you to know from the very beginning Here was my little welcome letter. Welcome to our unit, the Moore Monarchs. As your director, I stand ready to help you in any way I can to make your new career as an independent Mary Kay beauty consultant both enjoyable and profitable. Mary Kay is equal to the American woman's ambitions. And it goes on, but probably the piece that was most poignant is what she told me I needed to do. She gave me the 10 steps of what she thought I should do, and only one was starred by her, and it was the one on recruiting. So I knew that was important. But I'm going to tell you the 10 things that I did as a new consultant, because I always followed the rules, except I never read my consultant's guide. And I'll tell you why. It's funny, I was talking to my mom about that the other day, because my mom was making an apple pie in my kitchen for Ella's first birthday party last Sunday. And I was helping my mom, because she forgets a few things, and she said, "You were always the best at making pie crust." And I said, "I know, Mom." And she said, "That's because every Saturday morning you sat and watched me make and roll out a homemade pie crust and make 7 pies while everybody else was outside playing." And I said, I've always been a visual learner. I've never been somebody who can read something. I'm much better at following good people around and seeing what they do. And then I just have this photographic memory of what works and what doesn't. And I don't know about you, but watching people do beauty shows was one of the most significant things I did early on in my career. I found the people who were winners, and I went up and asked them if I could watch them, because that is the best way that I learned. So, number 1, it says, take your new consultant training seriously. Complete all the requirements 100% as quickly as possible, and study your new consultant's guide. There's where, number 1, I let her down. It says, learn everything about your business, study until you know what to do and what to say in every possible situation. Well, since I never went to college, I took this seriously. But I took it seriously going and watching people work. That was my serious attempt. Number 2, take advantage of all sales meetings, which are regularly held every Monday. Mary Kay says, miss 1, you're ill, 2, you're dying, and 3, you're dead. Go to all workshops, read training classes, jamborees, and seminars are also consistently being held as aids in advanced training. Make these a habit too. I never missed anything. You know how you get to go to a career conference within a couple hours driving distance? The first career conference I ever went to was a 10-hour drive to St. Louis from Toledo, Ohio, in a compact car with 4 women, probably the size of a Chevy Cruze. But I went, and no air conditioning. No air conditioning. But I went, and I've never missed an event. I missed one event, and that was when Jordan was born on July 20th, and I had her cesarean, so I couldn't travel on a plane. But 17 of my consultants went that year. That is the only thing I've ever missed. And it's really interesting, as much as we have done every event, that's why they're national sales directors at this head table, because they don't make excuses. They go and they find the reasons, they find what was my nugget, and then they implement new nuggets. I learn at everything I go to. I honestly cannot even believe that my mind is still learning things at 65 almost, but it is. I'm learning all the time, constantly. So for those of you that made the way to be here and didn't cancel and didn't have an excuse, I always say, if we would learn to condense our excuses and expand our boundaries to receive more and stop using excuses as a reason why you can't be a DIQ or why you haven't done it for 20 years. I get so tired of hearing people say, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. Just show me. Don't tell me, just show me. And show yourself that you have what it takes. Show your family. Condense those excuses and expand the boundaries of your thinking and your parameters and your ability to learn and receive new information. These events were poignant in my career. It was a speech. It was never a class on booking. It was never a class on recruiting for me. It was people's stories. It was hearing a Heather Carlson talk about what her kids said that would happen. I can only imagine if my mother had not been in Mary Kay. I was laughing till I was crying, seriously, because you don't think about what your kids think about your career until you ask them. Always learning. I commend you on being here and never missing anything. And I'll tell you something, it will be my very last, for sure, Mary Kay thing, January leadership. I'm done. They're going to put the horse's roses around my head and say, go out to pasture. You know how they do that? Okay? So those of you If you don't believe you can be a director by then, be a DIQ for heaven's sakes. It's never been easier. You can do anything you set your mind to do if you are willing to do the work. So, that was number 2. Number 3, it said fill in weekly summary sheets each week. These allow me to be of special assistance to you and your business. These are made available for you to organize your business and to enable me to offer suggestions as ways that you can help your business grow. Bring them with you to the sales meeting or mail them directly to me on Saturday if you're out of town. Okay, my area hears all the time, if you are a director and you don't have a recruit by your name, I call it a goose egg. I say, oh my gosh, we have 17 goose eggs and you guys are better than goose eggs. When I would send my weekly accomplishment sheets to Debbie, I would put false eyelashes, I'd glue them on, I'd make a big smiley face or buy lip stickers, and I would always have a goose egg because I didn't sell anything for November, December, January, February. I sold nothing. And I would send it to her with a goose egg and say, you asked for it, here it is. And I would decorate them differently every single week. But I made sure I turned them in because I always wanted to be accountable. You know, there's not a bank in America where the tellers don't get down to the very penny and they have to stay till their drawer balances every single day. Businesses would never close down without closing out their register every single day. You might do really well if you did the same thing. It was easy with all my goose eggs, I promise you. It wasn't a lot of work for me. It was how am I going to decorate it different from last week. But I was accountable. And once I got my traction, I started getting those kinds of ribbons for $1,000 a week, a $2,000 a week. In fact, I was doing these shows and having so much fun, and Debbie said, can I come and watch you do a show? And I go, no. I didn't want her to come because I was afraid that I would be doing something wrong. You know, and it's like if you have a mentor, you don't want your mentor like to inspect you and watch what you're doing, right? And one Saturday morning, my doorbell rang because I held 2 shows every Saturday, and I was very strategic in doing that because I would have the women at my dining room table, and I would have my cleaning lady that I didn't need, that Debbie told me I had to have once a month. I would have her clean my house that Saturday morning so everybody thought I was wealthy. But that beauty show had to make money to pay for the cleaning lady. That first show. And people would say, you have a cleaning lady? And I had her come right at the end of the first show and then right at the beginning of the second show. I was so smart. Well, my doorbell rang and it was Debbie Moore. She showed up and I went, what are you doing here? She said, I came to watch you do a beauty show. I was about pooping my pants. She came in and I was dying. I said, can't you sit in the living room and just listen? I don't want to look at you. I mean, I was so intimidated by her. But she stayed and watched because she said, I've never seen sales like this. I mean, I was having $4,000 retail months in sales when the basic was $36. But you know what? Necessity is the mother of invention. You see, I was the only one that made money in the house. And my mortgage payment was $756 every month. And we bought our house on a land contract because we had a bankruptcy. So I couldn't default on one payment. So I had to sell this product because I wasn't a director yet. You know, Marina Tarvin always said, stretch yourself beyond what you can do so that it forces you to do more and to be accountable to your business. When we were pregnant with, Jordan was in our little house on Far Hills when we moved to Shamley Green, which was a house that was 4,500 square feet. It was huge. Made a training center in the basement. My mortgage payment went from $756 to $1,600. It was doubling. And I said, okay, I'll do that I'll get a gold medal every month. And then I'll be able to make my mortgage payment of $800 with my commission check, my 13% check. So that was my strategy, okay? But again, I had to pay all the bills, had the mortgage payment, it doubled. And then when we went down to visit Debbie and Bill, this was the funniest. You gotta move. And while I was doing a workshop with Sue Ubel, because she had a fabulous 50s director who moved down here, Lynn Huckles. Where are you, Lynn? Lynn Huckles in the back. She was a fabulous 50s director. So Lynn Huckles was having her debut at the Hilton, I think, and Sue came down and she said, do you want to come to my fabulous 50s debut? And I said, yeah, and then Debbie was down here. So while we're doing a workshop, and oh, by the way, at that workshop, Bridget Shaw was my guest because I met her on the cruise ship the month before we did the debut in December. Think about this, you guys. Look at the history. Stand up, Lynn. Lynn started it with this one. And then that one down there got invited because she and I met on the cruise ship over Thanksgiving. See how God orchestrates the timing of everything? There are no accidents. And I remember when Sue came down to visit Lynn Huckles for the first time. They got a babysitter for Shelley and Julie and Evan, and they got in their car from Toledo and drove all the way to North Carolina, and Lynn had no guests that day. None. And she said, just go home. I don't have anybody. Oh, no, I'm not going home. We're going to go to lunch. And she and Dave talked Lynn and John Huckles into going to seminar. That would have been the easy exit for Lynn because her friend drove, had to get child care, 10 hours one way, 10, because they went back the next day. But Lynn Huckles went on to be a Cadillac sales director, $500,000 director, senior director, and everything else that she is, because this one didn't give up on her, even though it looked bleak. But my whole point is how things, they all work together, they all come together, and we don't give up in this business. In fact, when Bridget was there, she sat in the front row of the workshop, and Kenny fell asleep on me. And I said, I looked at Bridget like, she goes, oh, he just does that. He sleeps sitting up. I said, oh my gosh, they're never going to sign up. They're never going to sign up. But they did. Walking shoes. Those are the shoes that she wanted. Walking shoes, walking shoes. Okay. Huh? Those are fabulous. You guys, it's just amazing the history that we all have and how things sometimes look so bleak, but they're really not. It's all part of God's plan. You know, we are always forged through the steel, through the fire, through the disappointments. That's where we get our backbone, and that's how we can say to other people what Mary Kay always said, I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way. Let me tell you what happened to me, but here's what I found. And we talk about follow through and push through. Okay, so the weekly summary sheets and going to every event, okay, is really significant. And then number 4, plan your time. Time is the universal coin of achievement, equally available to all. Some people can turn an hour into profit, and others can turn it into boredom. Treat your Mary Kay career with the same respect you would if you held an 8-to-5 job. Then I underline this. Punch the time clock with yourself each morning. Organize your time, put in your best hours. What you do with your time will largely depend on how successful you become in Mary Kay. So she said, punch time clock. What did I do? I made up a timesheet. I love little charts. I'm that person that likes to check things off. I'm the 6th most important things girl, have been my whole life. I still am today. Still use my thing. But you know, when you think about it, Mary Kay always said the busiest people are the ones that get the most done, I used to, if I had a facial, I would put the time I walked out of my door, and when I came in, I put the time I came home. Because really, when you decide to work your Mary Kay business 10 or 15 or 20 hours, it's face-to-face time with people. It is not moving product, shuffling it around, dusting it, looking at it, admiring it, reorganizing it, finding fishing tackle boxes to put it in so it looks good and organized. That is not doing Mary Kay. It's people and product. People and product will promote you. People and product will promote you. If you touch paper, you are kidding yourself. Don't do the paperwork, because really everything's online. Don't do the paperwork. It's people and product, and you will promote yourself right up the career path. Numbers 5 said set a goal. Each of our careers is a journey, but a journey can become endless without a destination. Your destination must be precedented by a goal or goals in order for your journey to be successful. Set a goal for yourself right away. Achieve it and experience for yourself that satisfaction that comes with attaining it. I was a goal setter. I mean, once I got this, business off and running, I had goals all over my house. I had goals to reach the $2 million unit club when it didn't look possible. I had goals to sit on the throne. Debbie said, take the brochure and behead the queen and put your head on the queen. I did. I put my little head on this body of this queen the year before and sat on the throne the next year. Visualizing yourself, internalizing it, verbalizing it, telling the world you cannot have a goal and not live it out loud. if you want it to come true. You have to be very out loud and bold about it, or it probably won't happen. And for your mommies who have mommy guilt, I want to tell you a story. Visuals again, and how much is taught more than caught. You know, Jordan is an overachiever. She's in the back of the room there. She said, I want to be the valedictorian in my 8th grade class. I want to be the valedictorian of high school, which she was, of both of them. And I want to be the valedictorian in college. And that's when I sat down with Emily, this girl, who was the valedictorian of Queens College, and I said, will you have coffee with Jordan and tell her it's 15 seconds on that stage. She'll miss her whole entire career in college if she's trying to strive to be the valedictorian. So she had lunch with that Emily, but she did graduate with honors and 2 degrees. But we have always set goals in our household because that's all the kids have seen are visuals. So Sydney came home from school one day and had a low grade card. Low grade. And Jordan said, I have an idea, Mom. You know that electric yellow paper that says reaching for 2 million? Let's wallpaper the entire room for Sydney when she comes home. So she found the picture. We made up a little thing. Now this was wallpaper. You can see the tape on it. This was from floor to ceiling in her bedroom. And it said, Sydney is an A+ student. We know you can do it. Love, Mom, Dad, and Jordy. Philippians 4:13, because she loved to read her Bible. And it says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So Jordan says, okay, let's get in there. We get step ladders. We wallpapered her entire bedroom from floor to ceiling and the ceiling. So when she laid in bed, she couldn't get away from it. She walked in her bedroom from school and she like glowed because that paper with the sunlight set off a hue that looked like she was in a halo room. Well, you remember what happened? She started crying. She just started crying. But that quarter, she got her A. She went from a D, because she doesn't give a poop. Because she's that free spirit. She's the one that went to Liberty one quarter and the garage door came up at 4:30 in the morning and she was already packed up and said, I'm not doing college, it's not for me. She's that girl. But what I'm saying is, don't feel mommy guilt, because your Mary Kay career can forge strong, independent young people. So you get rid of the mommy guilt, because I see so many women in here. You saw the legacy of the mothers and daughters. They're directors, they're strong, they're amazing women, and their children are amazing too, because more is caught, as Karen Pearl always told us, than taught. So when you set a goal, if you don't reach your goal and you just let it go, you know what your kids do? They set goals and don't reach them because you model that for them. They are mini yous. What you do, they do. What you watch, they watch. What you listen to, they listen to. And how they watch you operate, your MO, will either encourage them as little people or discourage them, and they will become people who never reach their goals or dreams. Because mom just keeps the rudder of, I'm doing it again. It becomes a rut. It's saying the same things. Have they ever said to you, are you really going to win that car, Mom? Have they ever said that? That's sad. Just go do the darn thing, would you? Just go do the darn thing. Okay, so set a goal. Number 6, develop self-motivation. It is not your director's job to entertain you. It's not. She's not supposed to do a tap dance at the success meeting. She's supposed to provide a wonderful environment for you to bring wonderful guests to hear the opportunity. If a consultant never called me and said, what are we doing tonight? I want to know if I should bring a guest. I'm just saying, I'm going to hang up and pretend you never asked me that question. I'm serious. Oh, you have no idea the things I used to say. I don't know how I got away with it, but I did. Self-motivation. The self-motivated consultant is not physically different. Her pulse and breathing rate are the same as before. Her appearance is the same as before. But there are some differences. There is enthusiasm in her waking moments. She's excited to get started each morning. Her voice is more excited. Her eyes sparkle, and there's a real difference in her attitude. When you turn this key within yourself, this key, enthusiasm, I think it was the first one for the month of July, you guys, you will march to the beat of a different drummer, the drum beat within ourselves to success. You know, listening to something positive. We turned our cars, every one of us, into MK Auto Universities. We listened constantly. We still do. This morning we turned on motivational music, Debbie and I did. Now it happened to be Motown, and we were dancing around the room getting ready, but a lot of times it just depends on what we're doing. But we listen to people's comments. We learn from people still, and always learn from people who are where you want to be, people you would trade places with. But being motivated is nothing more than a choice. Mary Kay used to say, if you get out of bed on the wrong side, get back in bed and roll over and get out on the other side. Because that's all it takes to get a shift in your thinking. Because enthusiasm is IASM. I am sold myself. I hope you're sold on reaching goals, making a better life for yourself and your family. Number 7, be consistent. It's not just a matter of perfecting your show procedure or using the correct booking approach or mastering other skills of your career that bring success. It takes consistency of application to be successful. It's the real place to begin building your business. We had a program called the Roadrunner program. Oh my gosh, the Roadrunner was this little bird that looked like tail was up like it was gonna do something. It was not cute. It was like a mold. It was like if you dropped it, it would go into a million pieces of dust. And that's what we worked for, Roadrunners. It didn't matter, we wanted a Roadrunner because Daylene White, that was her program. And Debbie said, get on the Roadrunner. I would tell you the most consistent thing to get on the Star Consultant. You hold the key program and you figure out a way to move product, not to get a big old charge card bill, but to move product, to share this amazing product so you can do this through your sales. And then number 8, develop good booking habits. In booking, worry about only one thing. How many shows do I have booked for next week? We didn't talk about facials. We talked about beauty shows, parties, girls' night out, pampering, whatever you want to call it, okay? How many shows do I have booked for the week? Remember to look for bookings everywhere, anywhere there are people. The only reason for not booking is not asking. Make it a practice to book no more than 3 weeks ahead. Because when it's more than that, people have time to cancel out. Book now, overbook. We used to get on the phone and just spend an hour and just get our date books filled. I would die if I opened up my date book and there was nothing on it. I would literally die. I would be so nervous because I had to put food on the table and make my mortgage payment. You know what? When you have a need, you are much more serious about doing it. So find the need for yourself. You know, maybe it's the need to win a pink catalog or the need to walk away from that job that you really literally don't love. But you're there because you need that paycheck. So figure out what your need is. Number 9, always strive to be a winner. Shoot for the top. You know, when I debuted as a national sales director, I was so excited to get this book. And this book was like, OMG, where is it? It is right, where's my, not here, where's my, oh, there, right there. Grab that right there, this book. I couldn't wait to get this book right here. Sue, you open it up and show it. It says there's room at the top. It's all the nationals or stories. And every national that sent me a card, I stapled the card, because you know words are my love language. They welcomed me into the sisterhood, and I stapled their card to their page. Because that was mattered to me, that those nationals accepted me as a sister national. You know, you see, I'm one of those head cases. I say stuff that makes a difference in my heart. And I am that person, that I am a words of affirmation person. I can't help it. It's just